You guys ever notice when you're supposed to do something that, or when there's a topic that you have no idea what you're talking about? That seems to be when they want you to teach about it or preach about it or give a lesson on it or a tool talk. So, uh, without my materials, we're just gonna go over the tips that I have and do the best I can. So, I find myself today sitting here knowing very little about what I'm talking about. At least I didn't know anything about what I was talking about or what I'm supposed to give this on. So, listening as communication. Listening is completely different than hearing, right? So, hearing just happens. We can't control that most of the time unless you put earplugs in, put your fingers in your ears. That's the only way you can pretty much stop hearing, unless you're hearing impaired. Listening is paying attention so you can actively perceive the information that's being conveyed to you in a conversation. And active listening is being fully engaged in listening. So I found some tips that are helpful. First one, if you're anything like me, I don't know why, but listening is really hard for me. I always want to interject. So you have to make a decision to listen. It takes a conscious effort. For me, it takes putting my phone down, which is not my favorite thing to do sometimes. So I have to put my phone down. I have to remove the distractions around me. I have to pay attention to the person in front of me. When we fail to do that, we turn people off. I don't want to talk to somebody that's not paying attention to me, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't either. So we have to make that conscious decision to have a conversation and to listen to what they're saying. You know how the old saying goes, two ears and one mouth, listen twice as much as you speak. Um, I have a big mouth. It makes up for about 3 years. So it takes a decision on my part. The next tip to being a good listener is to stop interrupting. That's a hard one for me. When I hear the problem start to come out, or when I hear what their concern is, or whatever the case may be, I tend to interrupt. I tend to try to give them an answer or my opinion or a thought or something like that real quick. And I need to stop. We need to stop interrupting when we're listening and pay attention. Now, some of you guys may be good at that. I am not. I am not at all good at not interrupting. Um, the third thing is use positive body language. If I'm sitting, with my arms folded, that portrays disinterest, discontent. Um, it just seems like you're closed off, that you're not hearing, that you're not listening, that you're not paying attention, and that what they're saying isn't important. So we have to learn how to use positive body language, simple hand gestures, head nods, um, smiles, smiles. Smiles are supposed to help. So I've learned. I've actually been trying to put this stuff into practice since I've been looking this stuff up and reading about it. And my wife's been the guinea pig, and she knows when I'm doing it. So it's it's been a real fun week. It's been, it's been a lot of laughs. So use positive body language. The next one, I think this is almost a lost art in communication and in listening, and that's make eye contact. You know, pay attention with your eyes. Um, when I'm constantly looking around or looking at all the distractions, people tune out real quick. I know I do, and I'm pretty sure most people do. When somebody's not making eye contact, they tend to want to, other people that are communicating or speaking with us tend to feel like we're not paying attention. And it's probably because it's the case. I'm a big squirrel guy, and I don't mean a big squirrel as in size of squirrel. I mean like, ooh, squirrel. I do that all the time. And I'll be in the middle of a serious conversation about something with my wife, for example, and something will pop by or go by. I'm like, oh, look at that. Pay attention. Stop letting the squirrels interrupt. that eye contact is it's important for me personally. I know when I'm speaking to somebody and their eyes are doing all the wandering around, I tend to want to grab somebody by the shirt and just shake them and be like, I'm right here, look here. uh, so that's a big tip. That's a big help for me when I'm talking to somebody. And the next thing is kind of goes along with that. I think one of the biggest things that we can do as far as being a good listener is to use some empathy, to put yourself in that person's shoes. Um, put yourself in their position, especially when it's a rough conversation. And as leaders of a church, leaders in the church, future leaders in the church, um, if we don't put ourselves in other people's shoes, you know, uh, they're not going to want to listen as effectively. They're not going to want to open up. Like if I come to you and I open up about something serious or something that's going on in my life, and if I'm sad or worried or whatever, and I'm telling you about trouble in my marriage or trouble with somebody I've lost or something like that, and you're like, yeah, you're all hey smiles and looking around. Um, I think you don't get it. I think you don't understand. So, with that being said, now somebody's pulling up wanting to talk to me. I may be parked in a spot I'm not allowed. We'll get through it. So, but empathy goes a long, long way in communication. I've kind of learned that the hard way. So, in my experiences, when I'm kind of caught up, actually, right now, there's somebody, I don't want to say too much. There's somebody in a group that I lead, and they're battling with some things that I've never battled with. And I don't really understand what they're going through. But when I try to put myself in that position, when I try to, they're facing a lot of fear and a lot of doubt in different areas than I ever have. So when he's communicating with me, when he's talking to me, and I'm not really putting myself in his shoes, it's really easy for me to tune out. It's really easy for me to not pay attention. Um, and then in turn, that shuts them down. And as like I said, as leaders of a church, um, although I might not be going through trouble in my marriage, or I might not have just lost a loved one, I've had those things in the past. So I try to draw on those things and I try to remember how that feels. And when you put yourself in those shoes of another person, it opens up a door. It opens up um, a bond of trust where they feel like they can talk to you. And as leaders of the church, that's one of the most powerful things we can use is empathy. That's one of the most powerful things we can do is to just try to understand, to try to be in their shoes and present at that moment with them. Um, listening as part of communication. Listening is it's never really been my strong suit, like I said. But as today and tomorrow's leaders in the churches and in the church, um, especially with everything going on right now, it's probably the most important thing we can do. We cannot help someone or hope to help someone if we don't know what the problem is. And in order to understand the problem, we have to listen. We have to take that in. We have to actively listen in order to correctly perceive what the problem is, or what the concern is, or what the fear is, or, you know, it's just, it's super important. Um, I'm a person that I am actively trying to get better at this. Um, and it's not good yet. Still, it's better. It's better. But any of you guys that know me in class know that I like to talk a lot, and so that's something I'm trying to work on. Just trying to be transparent here. Um, we have an obligation to Christ, and we have an obligation. If we accept the calling that is placed on us, we have an obligation to make a difference. And we cannot make a difference if we don't know how. And we won't know how unless we actively listen and we pay attention and we learn what the problems are, what the concerns are. And it's not just about listening to the other leaders tell us what we should be doing or what we could be doing. And okay, so I'm just going to throw this out there. And this wasn't even in my presentation, but it just hit me. We need to listen to that still small voice inside of us. There's a lot of things going on right now that are unprecedented in the church. And there's a lot of things going on where even some of our biggest churches leaders are telling us something, and inside of us we hear something saying that just might not be completely right. We need to pay attention to that. We need to listen. We need to pray about those things. We need to actively seek guidance in speaking to and listening to Jesus. So let's go back to those tips. Make a decision to listen. The first thing is make a decision to listen. We have to make an active decision to listen. We have got to set aside the distractions. And for me, that's a cell phone. Stop interrupting. Stop interrupting people. For me, that's it's a difficult task. So using positive body language, or at least mimicking their body language. If they're sad, be sad. Put yourself in their shoes. That goes hand in hand with the next one, which is, well, it's not the next one, but put yourself in their shoes, empathy. And then maintaining eye contact, super important. Hi, Josh. You're calling me as we're doing this. But anyway, guys, these are super important things. And even though my presentation might not be what it was or what it should be, don't miss the importance of listening. It's super important. So I hope you guys are having a great time off. I hope you guys are thoroughly enjoying everything that's going on in your lives. And if you're not, I hope you're still praising God through the middle of the storm. That's what I'm trying to do right now. So anyway, God bless you guys. I cannot wait to get back into class. I miss you guys. I miss the class. I see Holly all the time at church, so I still feel connected, and that's good. And I still talk to some of you guys almost on a daily. So I love y'all. Thank you guys for walking through the pain with me of watching this thing. I'm sorry that this is the way it went. Sometimes you just have to improvise and get through it the best way you can. So I hope you guys have a super good Christmas, and God bless you guys.